Okay, fantastic. So welcome to everyone. I see slowly more and more people are joining. I'd want to say hello and to welcome everyone to our webinar about goals and challenges HR and L&D are facing in 2022, hosted by Elevation. My name is Karin and I'm the General Manager of Elevation in Europe, and I will moderate our conversation with our four fantastic panelists representing four tech unicorns, which we will introduce shortly. This webinar is a part of our webinar series with topics around learning and development, organizational development, HR, and everything around in-demand skills, and basically everything our customers and the ecosystem around us is interested in. So for those of you who don't know us yet, we at Elevation help solve the talent shortage by offering an academy as a service to companies to upskill and reskill their current employees, but also to train to hire new ones. We'll talk about this concept, I think, a bit more later on in the webinar. So we're active both in Israel and in Europe. We work with a variety of companies, of customers and industries, so from traditional companies to the most advanced tech companies. So if you're interested in learning more about Elevation's offering and our future webinars, we invite you to follow us on LinkedIn or on our website, which is elevation.ac. We are also very happy to receive requests or ideas for topics that are of interest to the community. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'll write our mails. My colleague Gal here, he's the General Manager of Elevation in Israel. He will write our emails and our LinkedIn here in the chat. So feel free to reach out to us if there is any topic you're interested in, anything you would want us to host a webinar or any other kind of event about, maybe a white paper or things that are of interest to you. We're here to hear and to listen to that. And actually following requests of our customers, and as also we noticed that this topic is totally on top of the agenda for many companies, our upcoming webinar that will take place next week on Thursday, on the 17th of February, is about building a data-driven mindset in organizations. We have speakers from international enterprises. So at the end of this webinar, we will place the registration link in the chat here. So if you're interested in this topic, feel free to register. Another good reason to reach out to Gal in this case is if you're hiring junior positions, especially in R&D, we have super talented alumni of our academies to offer you free of charge. We're not a placement company. Our business is really just skills and training people. So you're more than invited to join our community of companies who we work closely with, and we introduce our community of these companies to our alumnus after the trainings, but also during the training phase. But now let's dive into the actual reason we are here. We have a very, very high amount of registrations to the webinar. I think by far the highest we had so far in our from our past webinars, and it shows the high interest of the participants in hearing what our four panelists have to say and the best practices you will share with us in a bit. So during the webinar, feel free to ask questions using the Q&A here below, not the chat function, but the Q&A. And we will dedicate the last minutes of the webinar to your questions, and we might even have a few questions back at you. We will use a poll every now and then, so please answer that. And also thank you to everybody who submitted questions. We actually built the questions in the webinar and the flow of the webinar very much based on the interest that the participants sent us when registering to the webinar. So today we have the opportunity to speak with four HR and L&D leaders, all from tech unicorns, meaning companies with a valuation of more than $1 billion that are all in a crazy, if I may say, hypergrowth phase. We will hear different angles, which I find super interesting. So all are unicorns, but we will hear L&D perspective, HR, as well as the recruitment perspective, and learn about the goals, the challenges, and the solutions and best practices to solve these challenges and to tackle everything that we plan for the upcoming year. So I would say let's start with a short introduction of our panelists. I'd like each and every one of you to shortly introduce yourselves and the company you work for, and share in a sentence the craziest goal or maybe the most significant thing that happened to you in the past year on a professional level. And I'd suggest to start with Yanal. I would first of all also take the opportunity to congratulate you on your very recent promotion from Director to AVP Organizational Growth at AppsFlyer. So Yeah, definitely. Congratulations. And maybe it's a reason to start with you, and then after that, just you choose who's going next.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for having me. Yanai from AppsFlyer, if you didn't guess yet. I just didn't have a big enough banner to bring. So that's the alternative. So AppsFlyer is in the mobile marketing domain. We're doing analytics for marketers to take a good decision while they are doing their campaign and being able to do user acquisition and remarketing for their mainly app. We are doing it around the world. We are a global company, one of the unicorns from Israel, and we are very, very proud of what we are doing as a market leader. So that's us. I'm responsible for the L&D team and some more functions in the organization. The one thing I would say I'm really proud of from the following year was an event that L&D Learning Week. We took 1 week where we just hijacked the agenda of the organization. It was amazing, of course, with learning offering, but much, much more by demonstrating our amazing learning culture, which we will probably talk about later on. Showing a very all-in situation for all of our leaders and our people taking part of learning, of investing in being an active and engaged part in learning, which was pretty amazing. We broke the record of more than 4,000 learning hours, which is a point in time where you as a L&D a leader comes to the CEO and say, maybe it's the time to let me go because I just spent 4,000 hours of our people time, which is a very, very price thing to do. So that's for me.
I can continue. So hi everyone, super excited to be here. So thanks for having me as well. I'm Danielle, living in Tel Aviv here at Monday for a little bit more than 4.5 incredible years, an incredible journey. When I joined Monday, it was named the Pulse at the time, and we were like 50 employees. So it's an incredible journey growing up with the company. Today I'm an HRBP of our R&D department and leading our technology and product recruitment. A little bit about Monday. So Monday.com is a work OS, which is a work operation system where basically organizations of any size can create the tools and processes they need to manage. Think about every aspect of your work. Our work OS is an open platform that democratizes the power of software so that organization can as easily and actually build work management tools and software applications to fit to their need. We are located in Tel Aviv with 10 sites around the world and more than 1,000 employees today. It changes like every day, so we're staying tuned. And that's us and that's me. And I'm sorry, I forgot the incredible, yeah, exactly. So one of our, I think, amazing achievements I'm going to put in the spotlight last year, it was because this year we're just, getting started, but recently I wanted to put in the front the Monday U, the academy that we did. The first one was, recruiting client-facing candidates, and we hired like 17 candidates, which closed our annual goal, and it's incredible. And I think our achievement is, hitting our crazy numbers and, doing things in a hyper-growth company. But that's the achievement I really want to put in the front about the academy, which is very innovative, and I will talk about it and elaborate about it later.
Thank you.
So I will be next. So hi, I'm Raya. I'm the Playtika Global Learning and Development Manager. In the last 15 years, I'm working in organizational development and learning domains. I joined Playtika 2 years ago. In March, it will be 2 years after a couple of years in the high-tech companies where I work with Yanal actually. And before that, I was an officer in secret units in Israel Defense Force in the Israeli Army. A little bit about Playtika. So Playtika is a world-leading gaming company. We have 10 active games. We are located in 20 different sites and spread about 14 countries. Playtika is actually an entertainment company. That means that we're not only competing with other gaming company, but also we are completely competing on your spare time, okay? If you have spare time, what do you choose to do? If you're choosing to go on Netflix, if you're choosing, God forbid, to read a book, or you're choosing to go to Spotify, or you're choosing to play games on your mobile. And if you're choosing to play games, we want you to choose Playtika Games. We have 4,000 employees, and at any given time, we have over 20 million players playing our games. About what we're doing in the academies that I'm leading, I will take it according to the questions, but I have a lot of academies. And regarding, Karin, what you asked about the craziest experience, so I think the last year was the most interesting and challenging and craziest year I have ever experienced as a learning manager, with the challenges and the changes in the global market and the Israeli labor market, the shift for employer market to employee market, create a new and interesting challenges to all of us, me specifically, in a way that I haven't seen before. This changes and dynamic led Playtika to define learning as one of the top strategic pillars of Playtika for 2022. I think it's amazing opportunity. Not a lot of company decided the learning is strategical plan, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for our learning here to become bigger and more professional.
Thank you, Raya.
Okay, so that leaves me. Hi, my name is Shiri Grosbard. I also worked with Yanal up until recently, and it's really nice to see you. I also just remember that in my former capacity in a joint digital talent agency, we started recruiting for the Pulse when there were 14 people. So yeah, long time ago. And also we were neighbors from Playtika when they were sitting, I think it was two offices before where they are today. So today I am the people brand and experience for Verbit. AI Verbit is all about accessibility. Basically what we do is we bring captions, we bring the opportunity, the ability for the hard of hearing community to be part of the game, to be part of everything that's going on by captioning basically everything. We work in 4 main verticals, which is legal. I would say slightly different captioning because it's called stenos. They do for legal. I don't know if you know this, but today a lot of the trials are actually in Zoom. So very, very important capacity, to write the exact words. We do it for the education market. And we do it for media. The last Olympic was captioned by Playtika, Verbit, and we do it for other verticals. Basically, everything that doesn't fall into these 3 would be the other verticals. And when you asked about like the main challenge, I think my answer, like we all laughed about it, I instantly say, oh, the fact that Max Verstappen won Formula 1. But then you guys said, no, it needs to be a professional challenge. So I would say the world of accessibility, which I had no idea about before, and it's a vast, amazing, colorful world that really gives me the opportunity to talk to all kinds of different people. And it's amazing to serve this amazing community and feeling that you're really doing something that's great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all for introducing yourself. And as I said, we will start speaking about your goals. We're now at the beginning of the year, and you probably, or at least I hope, you have your goals set up for this year. And I would love to know, what's the main leading goal for your HR and L&D teams for this year? And Danielle, maybe we'll start with you and Monday.
Sure. So I'm going to divide the goals into HR goals and to recruitment because I'm wearing those 2 hats. So I'm going to start with the 2 phrases that I really believe that are going to bring us to the goals. I think that actually it's a very famous sentences by Einstein, like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What brought us to this year won't bring us to the next one. We need to evolve. We need to do things we never did before, which bring us to the next thing, that anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. So I think I'm going to take it first in the recruitment goals. I think we hypergrowth company, hypergrowth again, we're keeping to establishing a solid recruitment structure that can support the scale and to be scale enablers. and to create a strong leadership team in the recruitment, aligning, creating processes, standardization, data efficiency, automations, optimizes processes to support the scale, and of course, a lot of innovation, which the Academy will present as a solution, as one of the solutions. But the numbers are, a guideline, not the essence. We're going to say that if we're going to fail, let's fail on the number and not on the quality. But the goal here is to, keep doubling the company, which is crazy. What brought us to, from 100 employees to 200 is not the same thing that will bring us from, 1,000 to 1,600. So that's the goal. And I'm going to talk about the solution, later on. As far as the HR goals, so we will divide it into two dimensions, like internal and external. Internally, within the HRBP, we're a big company, keep growing. We need to keep ourselves, with the same standards and, actually working within the HRBP team itself. External is, I'm talking about external to the company. So our external goal is, like I said, alignment and standardization, collaboration with our HR organic teams, like compensation and benefits, LD, keep establishing our HRBP role, to a strategic HRBP and not tactical. External goals, I think it's, top talent retention. We're hiring, the best of the best, but we want to keep them here and make them happy and very, put them on the positive edge, development and growth, each one of them is a headline. It involves within a lot of, practical work, which I'm going to elaborate, but that's our goals for this year.
Sounds easy, doubling the company. It's not a...
Yeah, exactly.
Raya, what about Playtika? What about you?
Okay, so our goals, I go back as us being as a strategical pillar in Playtika. That means that first, all eyes is on us, okay? From management to all of our manager in Playtika. It means that we have more responsibility and a huge learning plan for this year. We are tripling our offering to the organization, and it's a very, very big step that we need to take forward. That means that we need to recruit and train to the L&D team new employees. Actually, I have one opening now if someone wants to send his CV, to train all of the new team members on our methods and make sure they all work in a synergy, okay? Another goal is to take all of our processes, what we built in the last 2 years, and scale them up. So if we had 6 to 8 academies last year, now we are tripling it and we have almost 30 academies, different academies, okay? So we need to change the way we work, to change the way we think, and do it while running, okay? And maintaining a very, very high quality of training of this is our product, actually. And I think the third goal is to create the right infrastructure. We need to support our employees' ability to learn, all of academies. We need to support the manager and give them the tools to be able to manage their learning and the employee learnings. We didn't have it yet. We just purchased a new LMS to Playtika. It's a new concept that we need to train the manager, the concept, the way of thinking. We implemented it as we speak. And this is only the L&D goals for this year. I will talk about the challenges that we have in the academies during this session.
Fantastic, thank you. So I think a lot of challenges we have, and a lot of also aims and goals, but actually would like also to get to know a little bit, to get to know our audience a little bit better. And we have a short poll. Gal, if you can help activate it so we all can see it. I think you can all see it now. And the question is about you and your companies, the companies you work for. What are your main goals and objectives? And I think they're pretty, choose the one that is the most, really the highest one on your list. I'm sure all of you could tick all the boxes, but I think you can only tick one. So choose the one that is really the most, the biggest goal, your main goal and objective of your company, not necessarily your department, but generally the company you're working at. I'll give it another few seconds. Yeah, I see some are still choosing. By the way, we have a very, very high amount of participants here today, which is really, really, really great. Very international audience. So let's see. Okay, let's close the poll. Let's see what the results are. Okay, so 42% say hire a large amount of talent. So I guess a lot of you here in the audience are also companies in a growth, I don't know if hypergrowth, but definitely a growth phase. Wow. So this is by far the highest, the biggest goal. Tough market, as I think Raya, you mentioned before. And the second one, which is also very interesting, is interesting and actually makes me happy to see, is upskill and reskill existing employees. So we don't forget the existing ones, and we also don't forget that we need to retain them. And maybe there are many ways to do so, but maybe the one major one is definitely investing in their development. The next runner up would be retaining. I think it goes hand in hand with upskilling and reskilling, I would say, and then help collaboration between teams and open an in-house training academy. Thank you. And oh God, if you can make it, if we can take, yeah, okay, great. So we talked about recruitment challenges, but let's look at other challenges, not necessarily from a recruitment, but maybe from a people or L&D point of view. So Yanal, maybe you can share with us which challenges come with being a tech unicorn that is constantly growing and changing, and I guess there's a lot of challenges. Pick the ones that the major ones you like to focus on.
I would say the biggest one is the constant change. Everything is changing all of the time and very, very fast. That brings several challenges. First of all, you have to act fast. If you plan to do something 6 months from now, that thing might not be there. It might not be even an issue. You need to react very, very fast to business needs. But much more than that, change is something that you need to prepare your people to be adapt to the change, to be able to go day in, day out, and be able to understand that everything can change without losing their mind. Being able still to be focused on tasks, be able to still deliver. And that's something that we are doing a lot with leadership work. We are focusing a lot on leadership and enabling leaders to be that mitigators of change to their people. The layer of leaders that we will be able to take people, build resilience to change, and build a long-term mindset. Even if today everything will change, let's look at our North Star. Let's look what will bring us there. That's a big challenge, working with leaders to be able to build resilience and be able to deliver resilience into their day-to-day tasks require a lot of focus and working with so many parameters that are, again, changing all the time. And that's part of being a crucial part of being building our culture and always developing it. We're very, very, very lucky to have an amazing culture, but to take that culture into action is an amazing journey.
Thank you. Shiri, you are also, or Verbit is also growing, but maybe in a different way than other companies. Can you share a little bit the way and the challenges that come with it?
Yeah, well, when I worked for AppsFlyer, I thought that was a hyper-growth company, and then I joined Verbit, and I realized that there's also something called maybe like hyper-growth on amphetamines or something, and that's kind of a Verbit, but it's a different kind of growth because it's not just organical. We have that as well, but we also acquire companies. So we acquired 4 companies in the last year. We'll probably acquire that equivalent and more this year, and probably twice as much the year after that. So my main challenge, or I would say that the main challenge for HR, is how do you become this one company? Okay, when basically you're introducing new companies with different cultures, different people, different mentality, and you still want to have, I guess, the same unification or relatively I wouldn't say identical, but a similar experience culture-wise. And I think one of the things that I learned, and we're kind of talking about it a lot, is that we are one company, and we have that vision of a one company, but as Bono said in U2, we're one, but we're not the same. And that acknowledgement that when you acquire a company, yes, you want to teach them, you know, the way of the company that just acquired them, but you also have to be very attentive and listen and see what they can bring into the culture, and not just kind of be, I'm sorry to say, but very Israeli about it. And, you know, this is our culture, this is the way we do things. I think if there's like one, I wouldn't say challenge, but like very significant learning experience for me from the past 6 months is that I've been more quiet, which, you know, and I can tell you that's not very characteristic of me, but you really need to listen and understand and learn, you know, who are these people? What are their needs? Where do we, you know, concur? At the end of the day, we're all people, we're different, but there are similarities. We need to find these things that, you know, that are strengths. And on the other hand, we need to understand where, you know, these are things that are necessary for this particular company to grow further and do their own thing and not be, you know, very Israeli about it and say, okay, let's do it this way. So it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge. And, you know, while we're thinking we're overcoming one because we integrated this company great, then now we're buying a different company, and the companies are also very different. So it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. So I would say it's kind of unique for Verbit, but for every company that's growing in that way through mergers and acquisitions.
Definitely. And it's interesting to see like the different, you know, the different challenges and different, as you say, everybody has different challenges. Everybody is growing differently. And I'm sure also here in the audience, there are some that are growing similarly like you. And by the way, if anyone in the audience has any questions, wants to, I'm not sure at the end, and again, reminding about the Q&A that now is the time, or whenever you like is the time to write some. But if we won't have time here, definitely reach out to us also later, and we're happy to make the connection if there's still questions open. But now I'm going back to the also the results of the poll, and obviously a lot of people are facing the same problem or the same challenge, that it's an employee market and we are scaling, and hiring is a big challenge, a war for talents, etc. And I know that your companies are constantly looking for creative solutions for hiring and for finding the talents. Danielle, earlier you mentioned Monday U, and I think the media was full of it in the past weeks, and it's definitely something super creative, out of the box, idea and innovative. I would like to hear more about Monday U. What is it actually, and which metrics did it meet? Maybe not only the hiring, but maybe it had also other. Actually, I know. I read the articles. Other side effects, and maybe you can describe it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So the academies is one, of the solution, like you said, very, something new to bring to the table. I think that we, in the recruitment, the solutions that, like I said, there are many solutions. The academy is one of them, and it's a big part of them. But we open more and more channels of acquisition. But the one I'm going to focus on is the academy. But it's not one effort. It's one thing with a lot of efforts. But, we came to the conclusion and said, the market really needs more talent. We all, facing the same challenge. But at the same time, there are great people that cannot get in just because they do not have the right experience. So it's a loop that we can't get out of. So we said, okay, let's break the loop. So I think it's, bringing them and connecting them to the high-tech world, because they are talents and they are great people. So like I said, we need to break the loop. So we drove such a change, and bringing, more good people into the tech world is personally very important to us. And, to do good, we really believe in doing good. We do a lot of things with that vertical. One of them is the academies. The first one was the client facing. We are now starting in February our recruiting academy, which is very, 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 very exciting for us. And we will open up R&D academies, and we really opened up and make this like as a position. We're gonna have the Monday U, someone that's gonna manage it, and it's something that will happen all of the time. I'm gonna share some data about it because it's really exciting. So we had 1,750 CVs applications that came from our landing page, from the academies. 600 of them, we asked to send like the first assignment. 300 of them, we did like their assignments review. 80 online assessment center that we did for 80 people. 40 students got in. 23 passed to the HR interview, and 17 we actually hired. And it's important to say that the ones that we didn't hire were not, less important. We really wanted to do good and give them the opportunity to get into the high-tech world. We're helping them and help them to get into companies. So it's not only hiring them, it's, bringing them back and bring value back into the industries. So I think that's something that was really, really important to us. Do you want me to talk about the lessons learned and failure now or later?
Whenever. I love failures because, as you said, we learn out of them. So
exactly, we do too. So we have quite a few of them. I think that we were not prepared in terms of manpower for the amount of CVs that we received from the academies, and it really disabled the whole recruiting team of the client-facing department because it's a huge number. It's like our annual CVs. So, and I think that there were quite a few people from the academy that disappointed that they were not employed by us. We probably did not communicate correctly from the beginning about the follow-up employment model. Something we took to do better in the other academies, but those are like two major things that we learned to do better. And I want to say that actually we're building like the syllabus and all the eligibility, not people that needs background in anything. Like if you think you can do it, join in. We're open to anyone and everybody. That's the main thing about it. So that was something that was important to say about the academy.
So thank you for, sorry, Danielle, for sharing. What I like about it is really like creating a reality. I mean, you don't have the talents. Let's create them or build them.
Yeah.
And it also connects with, I know if probably everybody has heard of Simon Sinek, and if not, now is the time to follow him. He's, I think, the thought leader in the world of L&D. And I think he said something around you don't hire for skills, but for the attitude, because skills you can always teach, right? So if you find the right people, then you can always, build them, upskill them, reskill them, but you need the right basis. And I think this also, Raya, connects very much to you and what you do. I know that you need at Playtika very, very specific skills, experience, knowledge, and like the market is not, I don't know if the market can deliver that much. So I know you also found a creative solution how to do so. Can you share with us?
Of course. Actually, what Danielle said, I can say it exactly the same. We're experiencing the same market, the same difficulty to recruit and train. And additionally, in the gaming industry in Israel, especially, it's where Playtika is main realm, it's a fairly very small market. So even before the post-pandemic, we didn't have a lot of solution. So what we actually did is we try to find a creative solution, and we decided to go on academy. But it's not only the academy; it's it's start from recruiting, okay, to recruiting to hiring talent and in scale, exactly as Danielle said. So what we decided to do is first to developing tools and methods that will allow us to predict job suitability, exactly like Danielle said, for candidates, and to predict the learning ability for candidates, okay? With no experience in high tech, in the same role, not so ever. We are looking for potential and competencies. And we develop unique tools for recruitment, specifically for the academy. We didn't took the recruitment team. Danielle, this is something different that we did, okay? And we developed actually new screening process based of competencies. That means that we had to train all of our recruiting managers to work with the new tools. They didn't understand first what we're asking them, what is wrong with the old method, why they need to change it. But after they start working with it, they understand the strength of this tool. We are having, like, each month we're opening a different academy. Each academy we have between 800 to 1,700 CVs, okay? And we need to find a way to screen them without losing the best potential in all of these numbers. And according to the recruiting, we are able to adjust our training accordingly. So if we are finding in one academy that are all of the potential are people without, let's say, a background in coding, we are adding coding or introduction to coding in the academy. So we have like a full process designed specifically for the academy, and it's not ending there. We are developing now onboarding plans to the graduates, okay? So the first 3 months in the new role, because we are reskilling them in new roles, will be very effective for all of the organization. And we also working a lot with managers to understand the level of certification that they have from our product for our graduate. A little bit about our academies. Basically now in each given time, I have between 2 to 3 academies running. Now we have 3 academies, and then on Monday we are opening, on Sunday, sorry, we are opening another product academy in Israel. So with 4 academies running together. It's very, very, very challenging. But we are designing trainings for core professional in Playtika. What does it mean? I mean like game economy, business analyst, product manager, monetization managers, DevOps, DataOps, Unity, Java, basically our core domain in Playtika. And those academies should be very, very professional, very, very accurate, but in the same time, very diverse, because the academy graduates in Playtika is going to 15 different business units. So the academy needs to be very depth and very wide in the same time, and we are trying to achieve it. And we're constantly in a change and in some kind of a chase to try to do it better. And meantime, to develop new academy. Now we located a problem in UI UX domain. We are not able to recruit because of a lot of different criteria. So we are open and first UI UX academy in Playtika. I think this is like the world that I'm living in that moment. In this moment.
So Raya, just to explain, your academies are for existing employees, or better said, you first hire them and then you up or reskill them, correct? So it's
we have both. Yeah, we have both. One academy is for new hires, okay, that we're recruiting them based on potential. We train them to a new role, and then we allocate them into the business unit. Another type of academy that we have is to upskill our existing employees, okay? Because we are a high-tech company, technology always changes. We need to change the technology accordingly. We're training or reskilling our employees. Like I will give an example, from C# to Java, from Java to full stack. So another academy is like for existing employee. To all of the academies, we offer employees to do internal mobility. So if someone wants to change up the role inside Playtika, if he's going through the screening process successfully, he's able to join the academy that interests him. Accordingly, we have like a manager recommendation and performance, a lot of HR criteria, but we are allowing also those internal mobility. And we are also starting to have an academy for advanced. So like these days, we're planning first advanced product academy, okay, for our product that is more than 1.5 years in the company, okay? So we have a couple of offering.
But what is common to all of them is that it's already employees you hired versus what Danielle and Monday.
Exactly. They all sign contract with Playtika employee getting salary from the first day.
So it's interesting also to see the different, so this is one, and maybe the other one is really what we call train to hire. So you first train, and then the ones who suit the company or different criteria you're looking at, you then hire. Shiri, I know that
Exactly.
you also.
And I'm going to add another just one to one thing that you said. Yeah, we want to also, you know, do good and bring back a value to outside of Monday into the industry. So that's one thing that really guided us in terms of doing it externally. And, you know, we have boot camps internally, but that's one thing that really guided us about it, bringing value outside.
So connected to the doing good. So it actually, you know, ticks a few boxes from time to hire and also to certify these people with these skills who can then apply to different companies. Shiri, you also have, I know, some internal academies that you had to slightly or not only slightly change due to the whole world that changed in the past year or two. Can you mention something about that when we talk about, you know, agility and change and constant uncertainty?
Yes, I think it also has to do back with what Yanal said about you know, leadership managing through changes. So if Corona you know, taught everyone something, a big lesson to this world is that we can make all the plans in the world that we want, but you know, things just keep changing. Yes, so for Verbit, you know, more than 50% of the people are actually captioners and transcribers. And if you take it back, there are people who have been doing it for more than 30 years. And there used to be an academy, you know, a board, a teacher, a classroom. And due to COVID, everything had to, you know, we had to rethink about everything and challenge that. I do want to say, I think out of all the companies, I think Verbit is the youngest. We just recently celebrated 5. So there isn't this long tradition of L&D, and it's also not what I particularly do in the company. I want to say something is slightly different about how to come up with creative ideas. And it's actually not creative. I think it's the oldest trick in the book. When I just came into Verbit, it was very clear that the best thing that we have in the company are the talents that are within the company. And we need to start from there. So what we did is very simply ask them, you know, what brought you to Verbit? What keeps you here? And it is from their answer where we decided to start, you know, how to build the best value proposition that we can for these future employees, basically by asking them these 2 questions and asking a third question, which I think is interesting and often not asked, is, you know, what was the gap between what you thought you were going to do or how things were presented to you and then the actual reality of it. And just from these answers, we restructured the whole onboarding period. I think we all know that there's a very high correlation between onboarding and first year churn. And, you know, it's most expensive to all the companies when we lose them in the first year. So just from, you know, asking these questions and again, a lot of listening, we changed this whole process to better connect to the actual field, to what people have felt. And again, it will take some time before I can say, good job, we did it. But it looks like it's going in a good direction. And I always think it's a best idea to ask your talents. If you feel that, you know, you have the best talents, start from there. You know, there are a lot of, you know, advisors and people from the outside and all this literature and Simon Sinek, love him and everything. But the best talents and the best answers are usually within the organization. Start from there.
I love what you say about asking, and maybe I will also add listening. So, you know, which I know you are, especially you personally, are doing. Yanal, a question. You spoke at the beginning. You started actually off and being so proud about the company culture or the learning culture in your company. And when we spoke earlier, you told me about, you know, how, you know, what does it mean? You know, a lot of companies say that, yeah, it's important and learning, etc. But can you tell us how it all started and just in a few words about the learning culture at AppsFlyer?
So a big demonstration of that is the fact that when AppsFlyer were only 300 employees, like years ago, Lisa, which is today my manager, chief people officer, started an academy. So for only 300 employees, which is like really small, it wasn't the hypergrowth. People were coming in a very steady pace. It was still important enough to do the processes of gathering the newcomers and going through the education process of what we do, how we do it, and how we deliver that. From that point on, it only grew. So I for sure cannot take the credit for it because it grew so much throughout those years. And it's a well-established mechanism that knows how to take an employee even before day one, and providing content, the social processes, the understanding of what we do, what is our product, and taking that through a very, very robust process of different methods. We are starting with the self-learning and getting into the part when we are doing the academy. That allowed us really to focus on role-based training because our mechanism is so in place. And again, so established in our culture, which is going year back. We are very fast getting to the point when we take the newcomers and work with them on their specific role, very, very hands-on on their success and their path to success, their own path to success, to their specific outcomes. And that can be only, I believe that this kind of a very high investment can go only in a company that really believes in learning culture. That's not another header or something we say. It's in everything we are doing. We welcome the failure and learn from it. We are invested heavily in bringing the knowledge from our people, as she said, and well, a big part of it. So we need to say also thank you to her. And we are really doing the things that are required in order to grow our people. So in the end of the day, hyper-growth company is all about growth. And in order for the company to grow, the people have to grow. And that's a deep, deep, deep understanding in our leadership mind. So our leadership mind understands that this company cannot grow without the growth of our own people. We cannot bring this all talent from the outside. We will do that. We will bring some talent from the outside. But if the current talent won't do the growing up, the up skill as we call it, but much, much more than that, the real movement in the role and in their personal achievement, the company won't grow. Once leadership understand that, everything falls into place.
And as you, I think, shared with me when we spoke, said that you or your leadership or the leadership at AppsFlyer, they really understood very, very early on when there maybe wasn't a financial justification for an academy.
Yeah, absolutely. For 300 employees, there isn't ROI for doing an academy, especially with the growing pace. So you will probably more use one-to-one learning methods. But still, when you are 300 employees and putting such robust academy in place, that's only coming from deep belief in learning.
So we spoke about the goals that we have for this year. We talked about the challenges, and we are on the way to achieving these goals. We talked about some solutions and best practices that you found at different academies, if it's the train to hire or training also juniors and then reskill them, or changing the understanding. We need to be very agile and adaptive. We also spoke about what didn't go well and also about challenges in implementing these academies. Danielle, you were very open and were very enthusiastic to share, which I love, to share what didn't go well and what actually is the difficulty on the way. So if I maybe summarize, and please all feel free to add into what I'm saying, but I understand that a lot of hours of manpower, a lot of hours of work. Like I think that the idea of creating your academy, it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just why don't we? How didn't we think about it before? But actually, it comes with a lot of challenges, and it's not that easy. So a lot of manpower, a lot of time, a lot of administrative work. As you said, all of a sudden, like thousands of CVs coming in that you need to screen. I'm not sure we talked about it now, but also I think if you use internal, maybe Raya, you have something to say about that. If you use internal trainers to train in your academies, that's also if we calculate the return on investment or their time, It's also something we spoke about in the past. So it's not that easy. It sounds intuitive, but maybe not that easy. So first of all, I'm sure you inspired many in our audience. Sorry, Danielle, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something earlier. I really agreed with I think Yanai about people growing from the inside. I'm very connected to what you're saying, and I really want to just say in a little few words something that I think is amazing and a solution from the HR side. I talked about recruitment, but I really wanted to say something that can be very practical. We're talking a lot about companies in hypergrowth and hypergrowth on steroids and everything. And the companies grow really, really fast, but we need to make sure that really, like Yanai said, that the people grow with us. And we need to build them psychology resiliency, and we need to build, put them always on the edge positively, and give them an environment of excellence. One of the solutions that we did, and I think which is super innovative, we have Monday Clinic. We have 7 psychologists that we are hiring. They are Monday's employees. Every employee in the company gets 12 sessions that he can meet with the psychologist. We don't have a connection with them from the HR. They're not reporting to us. They have a different floor that really looks like a clinic, which is managing the different even calendar. And I want to say that all the HR employees and all the managers in the organization gets like no restriction about meetings. They have that support all the time. We really want to support the people that are doing this. We really, it's a lot of stress. Everybody really is, there is a culture of excellence, which means everybody wants to really, really succeed. And we really want to give them the relief and build the psychology resilience and make them, which means that hypergrowth means that everybody needs to be in acceleration mode of growth. But to do that, we need to support them, personally and professionally. But personally is not, less important than the professionally. So I think that was one of the solutions I really wanted to share, because I think it was super, really something new and really helping, really to the people. And, I can say that the employees are mind-blowing by that. I can say that more than majority of the organization uses this facilitation. So that's something I really wanted just to say, because I thought it would be very valuable for a lot of people who, so just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And I think it goes again back to listening to your employees. I'm sure it came, maybe the demand or the need came from there. So great, thank you. So really super, super inspiring examples and best practices and solutions. I would love, we have 6 more minutes and we are very on time. I want to be respectful of the time, and I would love to spend the next minutes in answering some of the questions. So we had questions that were sent to us in the forms when registered, and some that are here in the Q&A. We'll really try to answer all of them. This one doesn't have, it's a general question, not to someone specific, so feel free to just jump in. And the question is, what are important skills and strengths HR or people in culture experts need to develop in the years ahead?
Okay.
I can...
Go ahead.
Shiri, go ahead. Sure.
No, it's interesting because it reminded me of something I recently read about all these, all our kids being glued to the screens all the time. And, they're learning all these great, I would say, skills on, hand, motor, eye connection, stuff like that. But they're really missing on some very important skills, which are social skills. And you said before about, any skill can be taught. I don't agree with that. I think some things, not a whole lot of them, a lot of things we can refine. And, Malcolm Gladwell said, if you spend 10,000 hours at something, you become an expert. But I really do believe that there are some things that, you're either born with them, you can refine them or bring it to a certain level, but either you have it or you don't. And I think for, all the, I would say, soft world of human resources, culture, stuff like that, I would say empathy, just this kind of, I always said that when you hire for people experience, for instance, these are people that are motivated by helping other people. These people, we say, I need your help. And they say, yeah. They didn't even hear what you need help with, but they have to come and help you because this is what motivates them. It's very much into their core. That is, that's the system that, that's the box. Okay, that's the hardcore, not the software, the hardware. So I would say the hardware for these kind of people is empathy, social skills, kind of like understanding social situations, listening to other, hearing, seeing other people. These are like the things that come to mind. Yeah, and I saw what's going on in the background there. Yeah.
You had to say hello. I would add only to what Shiri said, agreeing with most of what he said, especially about empathy. But I think that it's like the cliche, but we must understand the business. We must have the ability to talk to the business in their own language, which means mainly understanding data, being able to fragment data, go deep into the numbers, being able to understand what are the data is telling us. Leadership understand. Today we're in a situation where leadership understand our language, but many times we didn't do the half of the way to their language.
I actually think one of our next webinars will most probably be about data-driven HR, data-driven L&D, something around that. Also very much connected to the webinar next week. Gal, by the way, maybe now is the time to put the link to the registration, which is again how to create a data-driven mindset in an organization. And thank you, Yanal, and also Shiri. I love the both. I don't know if we want to call it power skills, but like the empathy part, but also and I think it really, you need probably both to be a whole. And actually now Katarina asked a question to Yanal. It's to you, and the question goes like that: how exactly do you train your managers on change management? Can you explain what the training looks like? Format, assessment, KPIs, content. In a minute. Let's do it.
So I'll try to go for it really fast, but in the end, it's an entire process. We're starting with understanding what are AppsFlyer, not the market, what are AppsFlyer managers' attributes. What is creating a good manager in AppsFlyer? And as Shiri said, it's a process of going, asking and hearing our leaders. So we are going to the field, understanding what they think is important. As a leader, we are asking the people what they are expecting from their people. Though this we are aggregating into 5 attributes, an attribute of a leader in AppsFlyer, and we are breaking those attributes into behaviors. So each attribute gets up to 5 behaviors. Those behaviors are being measured on a scale, and we are relying both managers and their managers to evaluate themselves and the direct reports on the managerial attributes. For each one of them, we have a dedicated sessions. For example, if one of the behaviors is communicating, okay, so the behavior that comes from the attribute of creating a collaborative work environment, one of the behavior is over communicating. There is a workshop on how to do over communication, over transparency. And then we are measuring the before and after effect. If I got 3.2 in my over communicating, went through a session of over communicating, what will be my manager's report on me after this session? So that's the process. We are in the middle of it. We are heavily invested in it. We are hoping even to release it as something to the community. But that's a big thing of what we are doing in 2022.
Thank you very much, Yanal. I think we can have a whole conversation only about that. It's super interesting. I think we have a few questions also about internal academies, but our time is up, and I really think that the interest is really high from like what it is it for, how can we do it, what is the application process, how are you screening? So there are a lot of questions around that, and I think we will definitely have to dedicate a whole session only around that, because our time is up. And I would really like to very much thank you, Daniel and Yanal and Raya and Shiri, for sharing your insights and best practices so openly with us and being so enthusiastic about being here, exactly how we are also of having you here. So thank you very much. And thank you also to everybody who attended to this webinar and shared your questions and Q&As. And thank you. We're really looking forward to seeing you maybe already next year for sure, but next week on Thursday the 17th with the next webinar with leaders from Ericsson, from BASF, from Marley Spoon about the data-driven organization. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a great day,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.